North Smithfield Town Council meeting, May 19, 2025. Madam Clerk, can you start us with prayer and the pledge, please?
Thank you for bringing us together today in a spirit of generosity. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind. May we voice our truth and listen with an open heart. May we discern your will to unite in a fruitful outcome. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody want to sign up for open forum? Anyone? Roll call, please.
Mr. Beauregard?
Here.
Mr. Christopherow?
Here.
Mrs. O'Hara? Here. Mr. Punchak?
Here.
Ms. Alves?
Here. Open forum pursuant to 42-46-6D, maximum 3 minutes per person. I'm sorry, I can't read the first name. Farrell. Did you want to get up, please?
Thank you. Town Council members, Mr. Gibbs, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Farrell McMillan. I'm the post commander for LeClaire, Cossack, Logan, Bassett, VFW Post 6342. Next Monday is Memorial Day, and we will be holding our annual Memorial Day Parade, stepping off from Brigitto's at 10:30, going down Main Street to the Old Town Hall for our ceremony at around 11 o'clock. Then we will continue on down School Street, where we end behind Lindy's at the Pavilion. While we're at the ceremony, we will be honoring our veterans who did not make it back from combat overseas. Those guys and women paid the ultimate sacrifice. So I'm here cordially to invite the Town Council, Mr. Gibbs, and anyone else that'd like to participate and march in the parade with us. And in the ceremony, you may want to say a few words about Veterans Day. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Grubb?
I'm going to beat that 3 minutes yet, but I would like to mention an anecdotal story about the town council meeting on April 21st. Mr. Beauregard expressed concern over the following excerpt from the minutes. Mr. Beauregard spoke, Ms. O'Hara spoke, Mr. Grubb spoke. He mentioned that leaves a lot to the imagination. Ms. Buddy explained that the minutes are okay since the details are on video. I personally had no such complaint. Afterward, I realized that Mr. Grubb spoke is as perfect a summation of my personal effectiveness in addressing the town council as I have ever seen. Even with that in mind, I'm going to try again. I stand here to promote keeping the quarry updates for news and public comments as an item on the agenda. Many answers to questions and follow-up actions have absolutely nothing to do with the peer review of the experts. We could be moving forward with simultaneous progress rather than sequential actions. Here are just two examples of the many outstanding. Both happened to be raised by Scott Walling at the April 21st meeting referenced earlier. In response to his question following up about the grandfathered 89 acres, Ms. Alves asked Mr. Ugliozzi whether he would comment on the grandfather condition for the next meeting. With some hesitation, he agreed, but next meeting there was no comment and the quarry was not on the agenda. Mr. Walling also inquired about the road use permit. There was no comment from anyone present, but the next morning, Mr. Christopherow texted Mr. Walling to advise him the road use permit had already been signed by the town administrator, who felt he was not required to consult with the town council. That may be true, but there was no room for a one-year performance review, nor possibly any revisions to the stipulations in the permit. Last thought for tonight, please ask yourselves what, if anything, the peer review could do or say that would change your current position about whether to accept the overlay proposal. I see the experts as potentially helping to determine limits and stipulations based on risk assessment, but having little effect in determining whether the overlay is the ultimate answer. As I asked previously, what can be done with the overlay that could not be done with a negotiated zoning variance? I don't believe in the least that the quarry is reaching out with a magnanimous solution. They have controlled the narrative since February. Please take back the oversight control which was granted in the summary judgment. Thank you.
Old business discussion by council vote or other action on status/progress report items, Municipal Building Review Task Force. Tonight, we'd like to introduce ECC Corporation and have a brief update on where we stand with the project.
Presentation. So I'll do the intro. Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
This is kind of high. I feel like I'm like sort of behind it. Hi, thank you for having us. So it's not our entire team here today. This is our core team. I'll do some introductions of who ECC is, who I am, and then introduce Brian Frigan, our project manager, and then we'll provide a quick update. So hopefully we have a few slides, nothing major. So let's go to the next slide. So my name is Azinga Knox. I'm a project executive at ECC Corporation. So ECC is a veteran-owned small business. We're about just under 100 people. We have a local office here in North Smithfield, and we have a few other locations. And we're primarily kind of concentrating on owners' project management services in New England. A lot of it is in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, as well as Connecticut. This is for our building side. We have also a rail side, which I'm not going to talk about at all. Let's do a next slide for our team. So this is our team. Myself is kind of a high-level project executive role. Brian Frigan is the point person for this project specifically. We also have. Oh my God, sorry. We also have Mark Ranker. Mark is our subject matter expert. Mark works for ECC. He's also, Mark, you're an active chief? Okay, the active fire chief in Attleboro. So we work with Mark a lot on some of the public safety house logistics and to get his expertise on certain things. Antonetta and Lenny, they wanted to be here, but they have another commitment. They had another meeting with another public safety house, so there was a conflict. We will bring them to a next update. Their role is mostly on the clerk of the works role, and also if we needed a third-party inspection, which was also part of the proposal. And then we have Surab, Andre, and Raylene, and Surab is kind of our back-end support in ECC. You'll see him some emails. Andre Gill is providing kind of like a third-party MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing design reviews once we get the drawings, which we'll do soon. And Raylene is on the move management and FF&E, so she'll get involved a little bit later during construction. Is there any questions about the team or about the company itself? No? Okay. a little bit about me. I have 20 years of experience, and half of that time is in owner's project management and in mostly just public sector in New England, between schools, municipal buildings, and higher ed, and same for Brian. A quick status on the project. So we just got on board, and this is great news. We had a couple of kickoff meetings. The contract is under review, it's in progress. So we had sent the contract, and we got some comments. We should get some feedback this week. Should probably be all finalized by the end of this month. Relative to design, we had a few meetings on page turns with the design team with SignalWorks, and at the moment they're committed to deliver the construction document set to us and to the town June 30th. This is kind of the target. The schedule is still under review and under progress. We're kind of going back and forth on certain things. Once we receive the construction document set, we'll have to do, it will be a little bit of time to do a peer review with Andre on some MEP things. Then it will be a bid set, and we will be gearing up to go out to bid. At the moment, and again, I just want to caution everyone, this is an estimate, and we've only had a couple of meetings, so things are still kind of we're still getting on board, getting familiar with the project, with everything. We're aiming to start construction in the fall and buyout in the fall. So the bidding will take probably through the summer, the bidding process, and getting the contractor or construction manager on board. It takes a little bit of time. Some other things we looked at with the team in the past few weeks is grants that may be available that may have not been looked at. And that's something that we're looking into now, and also into means and methods on how to update the community going forward on this project, whether it's like a link or a website or QR code, maybe a handout or stuff like that. So we're working and getting geared up towards all these things as we speak. I'll turn it over to Brian if you want to. We can do the schedule.
Yeah. I see you the next one, yeah.
And this is the last slide. So.
Yep, this is the last slide. And just quickly, thank you again for having us for this introduction. We really appreciate that. Again, Brian Frigon, owner's project manager. I'm the point of contact. 33 years in the business, design, all the way through project management. Just came off of 7 years with CVS, managing all their projects. So I'm very happy to be here locally and not flying around the country. Yeah, so Inga touched on a bunch on some of these things. Currently, we are, OPM's on board. We're working through the contract. We should have that hopefully in the next, I'd say we have some comments back from ECC. We're working through those now. We should have something back to everyone hopefully by the end of the week. Like you said, we did a site walkthrough at the police station with Chief Lafferty. Oh, can you hear me? Yeah. Sorry, I'm a roamer, so I apologize. Yeah, we did a site visit at the police station with Chief Lafferty, which was very, very helpful and a great visit. Schedule update, we're working on that now, and then we have some more of the concrete dates from the design team. And then obviously working through the whole process with everything. As far as construction documents, we're targeting the end of June to get those documents completed and ready for bidding. That's coming from SignalWorks. The CD document review phase and bidding phase, that would be in July and in August. Roll into those, getting those documents ready for that, and then hopefully have a awarded bidder in sometime in August, and then construction to start in fall of 25. Any questions on timeline?
I'm going to try to ask a question. I lost
Sure.
my voice. How far off is construction start date in fall from our currently estimated construction start?
It was 6 weeks.
How far? You mean what's
the difference in schedule?
I believe that, and I might be wrong. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that There was an initial intent to possibly start this summer,
Okay.
but and that's all I know, but bidding and awarding and starting in the summer, maybe there's a lot of competition, so it's actually might be better to start.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's at least not a significant.
Well, at least from what we know, we're
Yeah.
still, again, we're gathering information. I think next time, and the more times we come in and update, we'll be a little bit more knowledgeable of
Okay.
history.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions?
I just got through this voice situation. It's horrible.
Anyone else on the council? And now,
Excellent.
going forward, we'll probably, I know we're talking about how we're gonna keep updates, but maybe monthly meetings, or you can attend monthly
Absolutely.
to just give updates, and then we can figure out another alternative and.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we can
available.
plan on once a month, so I know you guys meet two times a
Yeah.
week, so we can do every other
Yep.
meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
All right,
Excellent.
thanks so much
Thank
for
you,
coming.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. We also have an invoice number 2415-110 from Signal Works. That invoice is in the amount of $3,682.50. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve the Signal Works invoice number 2415-110 in the amount of $3,682.50.
That's a, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punjak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Can you do that?
Yeah.
All right, next one is boards and committee codes of conduct. Mr. Christopherow?
Can everybody hear me okay? Okay.
Great.
So,
I'll talk a little louder. I submitted my second iteration of the code of conduct to the town council president as well as the town administrator. Our town administrator submitted some really thought-provoking questions that I wanted to be able to have responses for or continue to iterate on the code of conduct to align with. So my expectation is to present the code of conduct for our next town council meeting. I'd actually, town solicitor, like to provide them a copy of it in advance just so they have more time to review, if that's allowable.
Yes, just do not reply.
Right.
Do not respond to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would just like everybody to have the time to read it so they can provide their feedback and questions in a more informed and productive conversation. So that is my only update. Yep.
all right, new business, discussion by council vote or other action on Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency's update on Maury Tower. Pam Averd, Chief Implementation Aide. No?
I didn't do that, did I? Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Mark Pappas, and I'm the Director of Emergency Management for the state of Rhode Island. About 2 years ago, there's a little bit of change to the council and a little bit of change to the town administrator position, so it's very nice to meet you, sir. And it's great to be back here again. I've got about 15 questions for Councilwoman DeCristofaro, if you don't mind helping me out with that. Do you know where our slide? We got like 5 slides we could go over real quick. So the bottom line is, I wanted to come before you today to wrap up a project we started about 2 years ago, which was to build a communications tower for first responder communications in your town. And I got to tell you, it was a pleasure working with everyone, not just the council, but all the town departments that played, the fire and the police departments. How's the coverage, Chief? Pretty good? Excellent. We were asked to do some things that we typically don't do, and in the spirit of trying to get it done, we were able to build a monopole tower on your site and next to the fire tower that exists there now. So that on the left is the original tower configuration with all the town and state antennas on top of it.
And to the right of that is the current view with the North Smithfield fire repeater removed, along with the fire alarm box, antennas, and all of our state-owned antennas removed. This allowed you to move forward, and I think you are or have done already a restoration of the fire tower. Did I hear that correctly? Yeah. Okay. So slide number 3, really quick. That's the new 140-foot monopole with all the antennas for the town and state, and the camera mounted right close up of the antenna, and provides a much more robust mounting platform, and it's grounded for electrical safety, so that's going to be up there for quite a long time. We were able to also pave a road going up to the site from Woonsocket Hill Road, which provides emergency access to the town and access for heavy equipment should there need to be some down the line, not necessarily for us, but if the town ever needed to get up there, we paved the road. We also put in some security gates so that folks couldn't get in there and gain access to the site and mess with all the equipment that's up there. And the last slide is security cameras that are mounted up there, and I didn't provide it today, but you can see, I mean, you can almost see into Connecticut from here. It's so far. So it really does provide real-time monitoring for security and situational awareness to assist with local brush fires. So the bottom line is we wanted to tie it off, come back up one last time, say thank you, all of you in the room here, the council, for allowing us to do this project. Loved working with all the people here, and I think it was just a great success. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did I make my 3 minutes?
I think so.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Discussion by council vote or other action on town council reservation request for Department of Public Works Annual Control FY 2023 budget. Mr. Pendergast?
Good evening, Ray Pendergast, Director of Public Works. I'm requesting a transfer from, I believe it's the capital account, Tony, of $10,000 into the building maintenance for the animal control building. There's some miscellaneous repairs that we have to make. I don't see us using up the whole $10,000 right now, but there's a roof and some metal poling that has to be replaced. So there was no money left in the building maintenance. The $10,000 was appropriated several years ago for a generator, which didn't cover anywhere near the generator for that building. So it's been sitting there for several years. So it was a decision myself and the administrator talked about, and so that's the request for tonight.
Was the generator already replaced?
There was never a generator, and the request that I had put in several years ago for a generator was much higher than the $10,000 that they put there. So the $10,000 basically sitting there for doing nothing.
So it still needs a generator?
Still needs a generator.
Does your building have a generator?
Yes, it does.
Can that be tied into that at all, or?
I don't know. We'd have to solicit that with the generator company. That's a possibility. I mean, we have to have a generator for the fuel for emergency provisions, but we can look into that.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? I'll make a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the transfer of $10,000 from the generator budget to the building maintenance budget for the animal control facility.
That's a motion. Is there a second? Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
Thank you.
Discussion by council vote or other action on approval of material sampling technologies waterline extension to Central Street. Mr. Dakota?
Good evening, William Dakota, 143 Black Plain Road, North Smithfield, Rhode Island, Superintendent of Water and Sewer. So I'm here tonight seeking your approval to extend the water line from Mechanic Street to Material Sand and Gravel on the Millville line on, Material Sampling Technologies, sorry, down to 800 Center Street. this project. I think it's a good project that expands on our system in a responsible way. It's going to bring water to 14 lots. It's going to enhance the fire protection in that area. It's all around a good project. So.
Madam President, when you say that it will expand to 14 lots, does that mean that surrounding residents could eventually hook up into that water line?
Exactly. So
Okay.
as they bring the line down to the Focus property, they'll be dropping water services to every property along the way. So if they want to connect in the future, they can just run the water service right out there. It'll already be there.
And then, given the nature of this business and the sensitivity around what this business does, essentially hazardous chemicals, dealing with hazardous chemicals, is them hooking up to the water line safer for residents than using their well water?
Well, I mean, that area has had some issues, not in that area, so like if, from where they're connecting down to the Providence Street on Old Great Road on the Millville line, that whole line was put in because of contaminated wells.
Okay.
So the wells up here are not contaminated, I want to make that clear, but they're next door to contaminated wells.
Okay.
So it does bring them, I would imagine it would bring me peace of mind.
Okay.
Knowing that there is, safe potable water right there.
Okay. And then one last question. In our agenda packet tonight, it did note that essentially the purpose of this water line was for the new building at the MST site. It's my understanding that that building is a warehouse, but it still requires a water hookup. Is this a requirement for that building?
Yes, so I believe through conversations, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they're gonna have approximately 12 employees in that building.
Okay.
And that building, there's probably gonna be about 5,000 gallons per day
Okay.
use in there, so, yeah, they will be connecting to water and sewer,
Okay.
if approved.
Thank you.
Anyone have any other questions?
So the residents, the 14 residents that could potentially tie into this aren't going to have to pay anything. MST is picking up the full boat of putting in the main and putting in the services to the houses and stopping at the curb,
Putting the services to the curb.
and that's it.
That's it. And so as the residents decide to hook up, they'll have to pay for that portion from the house to the curb.
But there's
stop.
no, fee for that tap or.
No, it's a requirement whenever we expand the distribution system that we require them to drop water services to every property along the way.
And when is this supposed to start? If it,
Construction, I guess, it's looking like late summer, but they're looking, from what I hear, they're looking to get this done. If it passes all the approvals, to start this and get this finished before the construction season's over.
What do they have to do for road restoration? Is that a state road or a town road?
It's town road up till Central, and then from there on, that's state road, I believe.
So what do they have to do for road restoration from like center line to edge of pavement, or are they just gonna fix their trench? Do you guys have stipulations about that?
I believe that's gonna be curb to curb
Curb to curb.
resurfacing, yep.
Even
So
better.
they do a grind and resurfacing.
anyone have any other questions? Anyone like to make a motion?
3 for 3. I'll make a what am I making a to approve, so we're approving that they can go forward with, are they all permitted through planning and everything?
No, I believe this is a
last-
requirement from the planning. Is that right? Yeah. So your approval is a requirement for the planning board.
Okay, so then I will make a motion to approve the water main extension from Mechanic Street to the proposed MST facility on, which street is that? Not St. Paul, Central Street.
That's a motion. Is there a second? Any further discussion?
I think I have one more thing. Sorry. I'm really sorry. This is painful. This is just as painful for me. In knowing some of the residents in that area and having some of the residents seen this agenda item tonight, they did mention that they would appreciate, especially given some of the sensitivity of this business in town in that area, that they would appreciate if this business were a bit more transparent with neighbors, right? So it looks like there's going to be quite a bit of construction down there with the expansion of their business, and including the water line. So I don't know if this business would be open to maybe notifying residents or connecting with residents in the surrounding area to help them understand the purpose of this initiative, as well as the expansion of their business. That's just a request that I heard from some of the residents in that area.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely make that known, but I can tell you that I will be contacting the residents there.
Okay.
All right, because we're gonna need to know where the water service will be dropped. You just don't drop it
Right.
willy-nilly on the spot, so I will be talking to everybody over there.
Okay.
Eventually, so,
Okay, thank you.
okay,
Thanks, Phil.
you're welcome.
We have a motion and a second, correct? Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion by council vote or other action on approval of North Smithfield Fire and Rescue and Town of North Smithfield contract July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028, and approval of resolution.
Which one is that?
It's new business D.
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 Oh, okay. Thank you.
Is anyone presenting, or we're just asking questions, or for the contract for the fire?
No, I can present. I'm all over the fire chief. The fire chief is here in case anybody has a question. This is not a continuation, but a renewal of the contract that we previously had with the North Smithfield Fire Department. There's been no real changes other than the fact that we have an annual escalator of 4% a year. That's less than what the fire department asked for, but still a responsible level. Also point out that the fire department is going into their own contract negotiations with their employees. So this 4% is total for the fire department.
So this minimum staffing, section 2, is this the minimum staffing number that it was brought up to in prior year, or?
Yes, that's correct. The minimum staffing that is in here from the MOA that we signed back on February 6th of 2025, that would apply here.
So
I'm not sure
this
that was changed.
includes-
Is that changed in the draft? I
It says
missed that.
25.
Okay,
Are
yeah,
you
so
up to-
we're up to 29.
Okay. Yeah, it
should
I
be
missed
29.
that. That was my,
All right, so this has to be changed, right?
right.
Okay.
And then if, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
You also may want to check the date on the contract. Last time I checked, I wanted it to get changed, but it had it for the previous 3 years,
No,
not
it's-
25 to 28.
Yeah, that's changed,
Okay, good.
yeah. Oh, but the base funding amount dates may need to be changed. Oh, fiscal year 24, 25, 25, 26, 26, 27, right? Okay. Okay.
About the
The
term
term date,
contract.
yeah, the term date needs to change. Says it commences
I
on
thought that
July
was
1st, 2022,
cut.
Yeah.
and terminates on,
See, the copy I have has the changes made on it. It says July 1 of 2025 through June 30 of 2028.
we have 22, and July 1st of 22, and terminates on June 30th of 25.
And mine printed out all of the exclusions and the changes.
Yeah, it looks like the modified contract, which is just the date changes, weren't provided to the clerk's office. I accept responsibility for that, but that's the only change.
Well,
that-
that in the payment schedule we
Yeah.
discussed.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also discussed, I guess, in the years past, what they've done with new contracts, well, in every fiscal year, they would make 2 payments to the fire department in July. And then, in essence, you'd get September's payment in August, and so on and so on. So you wouldn't get one in June. We don't really know the reasoning behind that. But we were fine with just 1 payment every month, so we would just get 12. So the administrator and Tony seemed to be okay with that. Tony was gonna check with Mr. Igliozzi on that to make sure there wasn't some,
It must have been a function of a budget being late one year, I can't remember, but that's what I'm guessing.
Okay.
I mean,
But
we're fine if the town wants to keep it that way, but we just thought it might be cleaner to just keep it as,
I think that the
12
document
payments.
you have has 1/12
Yeah.
all the way through, so
Yeah.
that change has been made.
Yes, 1/12 by the 10th of each month.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, initially, it was 2/12 in July and then so on, but, so that changes there.
Were there any other changes on yours that might not have come over to ours, or?
Let's see. No, just the base funding. I'm assuming you have that. It changed all the base fundings for each year to reflect all the supplementals. They're built right into the base fundings.
That's in the exhibit, so those
Yeah,
are all
Exhibit 1.
reflective of that.
Yes, Exhibit 1.
So can we actually approve this one, Solicitor, or should we have a new draft?
I think you have to make all those, you have to make a motion to make the corrections. You have to have each correction pointed out, voted on, and then you could pass it as amended. So if there's 3 or 4 corrections, you'd have to make a motion for each correction. Or somebody would have to review all 3 corrections and make one motion either way, but. I believe there's also corrections got to do with the number of minimum manning.
Right.
I'm just taking notes, so there's, I counted 4 corrections, but
You got
Right.
4? I mean, I have the minimum manning.
Yeah, we got the date, we've got the minimum manning. On page 2, what does yours reflect in section 4 is the supplemental funding section, is that omitted? And then all of the increases for each fiscal year, is that in there?
The base funding amount is, yes.
Okay, and with the correct dates, July 1, 2025?
Yep.
Now, what about the section under C? Is that omitted?
We go right to application for payment.
Yeah.
Okay,
figures
so
have
that,
A, B, and
all right,
C.
so that doesn't need to be changed. You do have the 1/12, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that change is fine. And then,
Term.
Term date.
the term, yeah, the term at the top of the contract, July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2028. And then, the signatures are right. And then the base fundings, do you have that correct? Fiscal year 2025 for 4,309,643.
Yep.
2027, 4,482,028.
029.26.
029, okay. And then 2028, 2027, 28, 4,661,309.
310.43.
Okay, yeah.
So are those right or no?
Yes, those are right.
Chief, Madam President, I just want to go over the minimum staffing language, because I think once you say it goes up to 29.
It's at 29 now.
Then all the sentence language regarding 2 additional firefighters, all that language is gone.
Yeah, because this is the one we used when we were gonna,
Right.
yeah.
So I think this language, the way it's worded here, wouldn't make any sense. If you
Okay.
just change it to 29, that would mean we'd be up to 33. That's not I don't think that's what we're talking about tonight, is it?
No.
Is there a deadline for
Yeah,
signature?
Chief, per our conversation, I know you've met with your board,
Yes.
and your board is accepted, so it would have caused any angst on your part if we come back in 2 weeks with a copy that everybody signed off on to get that
Sure,
approved.
yeah, I mean, typically, you guys take care of
Right.
it, and then we review.
Right.
You know, so.
But we know that the content that we're talking about is just corrections that were consistent
Right, I
with
mean,
your
if the
understanding. anyway.
content text of it is fine.
Yep.
We could probably start getting into collective
Okay.
bargaining with the firefighters union.
And my suggestion is that we come back to the next meeting with a sheet that it's all corrected.
And if there are any issues and we need to have a special meeting just to do this, just let us know. You know, if we have to come back sooner than 2 weeks.
Right. I mean, the sooner the better, quite honestly, then that way we can get started with the firefighters, because our window is closing. Their contract expires on June 30.
But 2 weeks is okay,
That would be June 2nd.
Yeah.
knowing that the economics
Mhm.
is not a question here,
Right.
which is what you're going to be looking for with your negotiation.
Chairman, are you okay with that? No, yeah,
Okay.
sure,
June 2nd?
sure.
Okay.
Isn't
Nice.
that a special meeting for the budget presentation or something?
It's a regular meeting.
Oh, okay.
But this should be pretty quick as long as all the language is changed.
Okay.
It should go pretty quick. So, Madam Clerk, can you just put this on the budget, on the agenda for the 2nd? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I just sent
I know.
to everybody. Yeah, I know. It's just too many cooks in the kitchen. It's Tony's fault.
Discussion by council vote or other action on purchase of a crash scene mapping system from Laser Tech for the Smithfield Police Station. Lieutenant Landry?
Good evening, Lieutenant Greg Landry, North Smithfield Police. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. So I'm going to just tell you about the system?
Please.
All right, so this system is primarily, or will be used to investigate crash fatalities, crashes involving serious bodily injury, crime scenes. And what it is, it's a machine very similar to what land surveyors would use with the tripod, the prism pole. And what it will do is it'll allow us to more accurately process crash scenes. The measurements are more exact, and it's a lot faster. Typical crash fatality, depending on where it is, could take upwards of over an hour. With this system, because of the way it's designed, we're not out there with 100-foot tape measures, finding a baseline and mapping the scene. It's just, you set up the machine, you shoot up the perimeter, and you just take your measurements. Once all the measurements are done, you can clean up the scene, email it to your email address, go back to the station on your personal computer or your workstation, and continue the investigation from there. As far as the maintenance of the system, the system itself came with a 3-year system update. And going forward after the 3 years, for another 3 years, it would just be another $64 to update the system. So it was, it's just a more efficient way of investigating scenes.
So, no more little wheel?
No more little wheel. No. No.
So, how many communities have this software?
Most communities do have it. There are only very few that still use do it the old way with tape measures.
And so this is coming out of your software and licenses line item?
Yes.
So, maybe you're not gonna know this, but what was in the budget that we budgeted 58,000 for and we have 20,000 still remaining?
That I cannot answer. I don't know.
That sounds like quite a bit to have remaining at this point in the year. You don't know?
I'm not in charge. That budget is not a budget that I prepare, so I'm not aware of what is typically in there at this time. if I'm understanding you correctly, there's more in the budget than,
Well, yeah, dues and subscriptions was budgeted at $58,000 for this year. So far, you've only used 36,000, so it's given you 20,000 left. And, you know, we're in May, so we only have like really one more month of the fiscal year.
right.
To have that kind of funds available. I'm just wondering what we budgeted for that we either didn't purchase or, because there's some hefty numbers here left in the budget. And
I can certainly check into that. I think Captain Ridge is in charge of that budget. I can certainly check with him and email you if need be.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Lieutenant Landry, I'm all about supporting our officers in their roles and empowering them in their jobs in the community. And is there any other technology that we could also be allocating this funding to that there may be more of a need for in the community?
This technology here is unique specifically, you know, it's very specific to crash investigations and crime scene investigations. As far as other technology that we could use, I'm not aware of anything that's that pressing that we would need right now over this. This is, you know, in my opinion, this is a very important piece of equipment. Like I said, it's going to make the investigations that much better, more accurate. It'll allow us to keep the road open or open the road in a much quicker time frame than under the old traditional method of tape measures. And but as far as any other equipment that we could use in place of this, I'm not aware of anything.
Anything with flock cameras?
What are flock?
They're the ones that read the license plates as criminals are fleeing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or the speed traps that actually take pictures of your license plates as you're speeding by. I like that technology.
That is nice. Maybe we could use the remaining funds and maintenance and supplies to get that.
I actually have a question for the finance director.
Sure.
Given that they will have some budget left, is that, and sorry that I'm not super familiar with municipal financing yet, is that rolled over, or is it like, if you don't use it, you lose it situation?
So the way it works with reserves is usually we look at the department, if there's funds left in that account, great. But we look at the department as a whole. If the department is in a positive at the end of the fiscal year, pre-audit, post-budget, we will look at, we will eventually come to the council with reserves. And we'll say, this is what we have, and this is what the department heads are requesting to be put aside. But they can only put stuff, you know, money aside, again, if the department is in a positive.
Okay.
So if the police department ends up in a positive for the fiscal year, pre-audit, we will, you know, we'll see if the chief or anybody else wants to put money aside for specific items. Then it gets brought to the council, and the council approves reserves as a whole.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I just also wanted to point out, too, that when you talk about technology, there's a rather significant investment that the police department needs to make in communications technology. That's actually part of the federal budget allocation request of $500,000. So there is significant stuff, but that's well beyond the budget left over here.
Does anyone have any other questions? Tony, do you know if this was in their budget, or?
I'm looking at their 2025 budget, and I don't see anything related to this in there.
No, this was not budgeted for.
Yeah. There's I mean, sorry, give me 1 second, there's 12 line items in here in the police department's software and licenses account. So, you know, I'd have to dig into what was expensed through here to see what was under, what wasn't paid for, what was.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any other questions? Anyone like to make a motion?
Okay. I make a motion that we allocate the needed funds to acquire the precise type of instruments needed at crash sites, etc. And besides that, I just feel at any time we can make your job more precise, because it may look easy, but if it ever goes to court, you know how picky they are, anything like that. So anything left over, you look and you get what we need.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just want to point out that it's good for insurance and all that stuff, but the families really, they want to know what happened, and they want to know
Right.
what happened to their loved one, how they died, and what exactly. So I think this is a very important piece of technology that we should have.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that it? All set, John?
I'm good, thank you.
Roll call. All right. Thank you, Claire. Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Discussion by council vote or other action on communications from town administrator, asset management, and grants.
As it relates to asset management, I think the Asset Management Committee had met last week. As soon as that meeting was going to be held, we were going to have an internal meeting with the administration to sort of structure out what is the next step, and then they were going to come back to the town council and make that presentation. As it relates to grants, can those be pulled up at all? With an attachment, CJ? Okay, we continue to get harmed a little bit by the new administration in Washington. We had received 2 funding allocations, congressional, through EPA for the St. Paul Street water main. The second one, which was in the 2025 continuing resolution, was eliminated. All community appropriations were eliminated in that continuing resolution. We had a conference call with the engineering consulting firm for the sewer and water department, with Bill Dakota and myself and EPA online to talk about some of our options. We're currently working on a strategy as to how we could possibly sequence this so we can still get something done, but and also what other source of money can we possibly use to plug it. But we did lose that. Keep in mind that the total project cost we're estimating, if we include the development off of Elizabeth Ave, to be north of $5.1 million. It's very expensive. Question is, can we just get the system down to Elizabeth Ave and figure out how to do that? You know, possibly, but then we have to ask ourselves a question, you know, do we really want to do that if we're still not meeting the acute need, which is that area, which is currently being serviced by the town of Blackstone, and there are some lead pipe issues in that area, so we're still trying to figure that out, but we did lose that funding. We had every intentions of trying to apply for funding through the multi-generation facility using the state CDBG program. They have come back to indicate that they are not funding any new construction projects, only rehab projects. So we are out on that one as well. CJ, you want to continue to go to the next page, please?
So I have a question on that.
Yeah.
One sec. So if per se that we didn't go to how long we stayed at Scouters, then there could have been grant money.
There could, under the CDBG, yes, there could have been grant funds available for that. Okay. Could have. Right. We're having a lot of problems with the state in that department. CDBG has to demonstrate a low, moderate income benefit. Under statute, the elderly automatically qualify as low, moderate income. The problem is we keep talking about the project as a multi-generational, and it has other age cohorts in there. And unfortunately, the town of North Smithfield does not meet the LMI requirements for that. So unless we had taken Scouters and completely repositioned as only a senior center, no scouts, no anything else, we probably wouldn't have been eligible for funding because of the LMI requirement. It's frustrating. And quite frankly, communication with that department is extremely frustrating. We're not alone on that one. Is there anything else below that, CJ? Yeah, go right back up to the next page at the bottom there. Scouters Hall, as I said already, we were rejected on that. We were trying to get some state CDBG funding, but again, they rejected us on the LMI side. We just don't meet below moderate income standards. So we're still keeping our head above the water. We have the $4 million appropriation has been fully documented in Washington. So we're done with that. Now we're just waiting for the finalization of that. And we are currently working on the $1 million one. And we'll hopefully have that completed by the end of this week. We have had interviews with 3 of the responding grant writer consultants, and myself, Mark Carullo, Tony, and Council President Alves. We had those interviews. Each of us individually ranked what we thought were the qualities. Those are all in my hands now. Then the administration is going to go through and tally everything and make a final recommendation, which we would hope to come back to the next council meeting to bring in the grant writer.
The Senator Reid 2026 request for funding.
Yes.
For the does that seem promising?
I don't want to say anything's promising in Washington. It's been submitted. We have not gotten any. We got responses from the senator's office for some additional information, which we provided to their satisfaction.
Okay.
So it's in the pipeline now.
Okay.
So that's positive. We'll see what happens with the budget process in Washington.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're confirmed we're getting that $4 million.
Yes. Yeah, we've got all the documentation. We'll circle back with them probably this week just to get an update on it, but we feel very confident about that one. The main point is we got all the documentation, everything finished with them, so we can't be found to be in non-compliance of the appropriation. That's the important thing. The $1 million one is a little, and I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, was that grant request was a little bit fuzzy. It talked, for example, about passive recreation, but it had a lot of active recreation in it. We need to massage that. I was waiting for the planning director to get back into the office, which he's back in now. So we're going to be sitting down this week to develop a narrative that's consistent with the original $1 million grant. As I had stated at the joint meeting of the council and the Hollowell committee, that only a portion of that $1 million could probably go to phase 1 of the Hollowell project. We're trying to figure out how much can we allocate from that to actually help phase 1, but a lot of that was geared towards the second phase. That's it.
Anyone have any other questions? Thank you.
Yeah.
Discussion by council vote or other action on approval of Power Options, Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns for purchase of town's natural gas. Town Administrator Scott Gibbs.
The town was under a pool purchasing agreement with Power Options. Power Options is a nonprofit. It's an intermediary between the gas providers and Rhode Island Energy. This is a program from the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns on behalf of its members. That contract has expired. It expired at the end of April. So this is basically to re-engage Power Options going forward for another 5 years. Quite frankly, it's common sense. The ability to participate with over 450 nonprofit local governments and hospitals to purchase gas is going to get us a lot better negotiated purchase price than if we're out doing it on our own. So basically the package that you have in front of you is the standard agreement that we have with Power Options for execution. Once we indicate an execution date, then they will provide us an updated contract price. They give it to you 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, 48 months. As a sidebar, we have the same issue coming up with the electric. Electric comes up at the end of, I believe, November, so we're going to have to do the same thing with them. The gas is more critical right now, in part because the closer we get to winter, the futures market's going to start spiking up on the gas prices, so we better get this locked in down.
Anyone have any questions? So do you need a authorization on this? Or?
Yeah, there's a resolution in your package authorized me to sign the Power Option Agreement.
Anyone want to make a motion to approve the resolution for entering into a contract with NRG?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution of North Smithfield approving the authorization and the execution of natural gas participant agreement for Power Options members, and authorize the administrator to sign.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on appointments to town boards/commissions, resignation from personnel board for a term ending 11/30/2025. So we have a letter in our packet from Sandra Soares resigning from the Personnel Board. Can we send her a thank you like we normally?
Yes.
And then appointment to Conservation Committee, completion of a term ending 11/30/2026. We have an application in the packet. Does anyone like to make a motion to approve an appointment?
Madam President, I'd like to nominate Emily Mancini to the Conservation Commission.
Second that motion.
So we have a motion and a second. Any
Yes.
further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Oh, sorry, Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Then we have appointment to the Groundwater Protection Committee, completion of a term ending 11/30/2026. We have a resignation. No, we don't.
No, it's my understanding, and Joanne, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that the groundwater protection liaison seat was open on the planning board. Cynthia had asked to transfer, essentially, from a regular planning community member on the planning board to that groundwater protection seat.
Yeah, the planning board members.
The planning board seat, right? So she just wants to change to the liaison seat as the groundwater protection liaison on the planning board, which would in turn free up a planning board seat for a community member.
Oh, because she's on the planning board and she wants to be
Yes.
this liaison?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So do we have to make any motion? We have
Just to change
Just to
her
have her
position
switch
from,
to the liaison?
from the public to the liaison for the planning
Okay.
board.
You-
So, I'm getting, what are we doing?
So Cynthia Roberts right now is on the planning board as just a regular residential member, but she wants to be the liaison to the groundwater protection committee on the planning board. Therefore, it would free up her position as a residential just position on
Okay.
the planning board. Right?
Yes.
Okay. You want me to make it?
I think I can make it. I'll make a motion to approve the change for Cynthia Roberts to move into the groundwater protection liaison seat on the planning board.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on amendment of bills from 4/21/25 meeting. Mr. St. Ange?
This is the payment of bills from, I think, 2 meetings ago, that we had extracted the software from the police department. So the dollar amount that you see at the bottom will be the new dollar amount that you would approve. And then, now that you've approved the software for the police, that'll be in a following payment of bills, once it's invoiced.
So this 4.8 is the revised amount?
Correct.
Plus that 11,000?
Correct.
Anyone have any other questions on this? Anyone like to make a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the April 21st, 2025 revised payment of bills in the amount of $4,860,134.16.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on interdepartmental transfers. Mr. St. Ange?
So these are just some transfers that I've, I went through the budget, the current year, how we're doing. So here's just to cover some of the overages. So I can run through them. In DPW, he's transferring some of the salaries over to cover some of the public utilities, and some supplies. The reason that the public utilities is over is because at the beginning of this fiscal year, we had been fighting with Rhode Island Energy, I want to say probably just under a year, to try and cash out a little over $300,000 credit balance with them. And then we weren't really sure when that was going to actually happen, when they were going to send us that check, and they sent it to us right after adoption of the budget. So I didn't have the ability to go in and edit what we should be paying then after the credit's gone for those utilities. So that's why DPW is over. You'll see there's a little bit overage in another one. But we have the credit in our hands now. It's gaining interest, and instead of sitting in their account. Moving forward, so finance, so the reason I have overage in salaries is because at the beginning of in this fiscal year, the HR manager position is in my department. It has now been in administration going forward. Is not my employee. And I'm covering the professional services for NCA. I had already done this once, but in that meeting, there was another charge from them that I didn't think to cover. It was just coincidental. And then advertising, the reason that's over is I had put a lot of money into trying recruiting for both the HR manager and the payroll clerk. And I also have to advertise for the budget hearings. So there's that. And then just a little bit in supplies. Someone wants a new chair. They're having sciatic pain, so getting them a new chair. Highway, again, salaries. It's covering some costs in overtime. Obviously, because there's a movement in salaries, there's going to be some overtime, so we're trying to transfer that. Overtime snow removal, we just pretty basic. There was more overtime from the snow than we anticipated. Street lighting, that's similar to the situation I had just described with Rhode Island Energy. And then snow and ice removal, the exact same situation when it came to MCA, that when I had done the last transfer for the DPW director, in that same payment of bills was one last invoice for ice, or for salt. So missed that one, and just covering it now before fiscal year end. And then Parks and Rec. Basically, the salaries is just covering some of the overtime. It's exact dollar for dollar. And then we're transferring 5,000 from facility maintenance to building repair and maintenance. To my knowledge, that there's a type of emergency going on with one of the buildings that he needs to cover. So he had a little bit of money left over in facility maintenance, so we're just making that transfer over. Mr. Administrator and Council President is aware of it. We're just trying to cover that and get that taken care of as soon as possible. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions for the finance director?
So on that last one, it's going from the highway department to Parks and Rec on that building repair and maintenance? Is that what I'm seeing there? That, the account
Oh, no,
number-
that should be, sorry, that should be 4312. Thank you. Yep, that should be 4312. Within, no, it all stays, any transfer we ever make is always gonna be in the same department. So that should be 4312, 50550. Thank you for catching that.
Any other questions? Do you want these all in one motion or separately?
You can make them all in one motion, whatever's easier for you guys.
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer requests for the DPW of $4,500, the Finance Department of $9,550, the Highway Department of $14,924.08, and the Parks and Rec Department with the updated account number of $5,400.59.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll
One-
call.
Sorry, one last item I want to make sure you guys, for the new council members. So when I provide the budget to the council, when we're doing budget adoption, the adopted budget amount will have these changes in it. So it won't be the original adopted amount of last year. It'll be updated amounts of what the transfers reflect. So it can kind of give you a better picture of what the department actually needed at the end of the year. So, sorry.
Sorry. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Back to the top, discussion by council vote or other action on consent agenda. All items listed in this section are considered in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda. A, town council minutes of April 7, 21, 28, and May 5th. Communications of Animal Control Monthly Report of April 2025, North Smithfield Fire and Rescue Monthly Report for April 2025, North Smithfield Municipal Court Monthly Report for April 2025, and North Smithfield Police Department Monthly Report for 2025. Would anyone like to remove anything from the consent agenda?
Madam President?
Yes.
I would like to remove the minutes from May 5th.
Anyone else? Anyone like to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda, consisting of the council minutes of April 7th, 21st, and 28th, the Animal Control Monthly Report for April of 2025, the North Smithfield Fire and Rescue Monthly Report for April 2025, the North Smithfield Municipal Court Monthly Report for April 2025, and the North Smithfield Police Department monthly report for April 2025.
That's a motion. Is there a second? Oh,
Second.
second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Mr. Biragad?
All right, so if I can bring your attention to the minutes of May 5th, if you scroll down the area in red, if it said the following in red, it's about the material sand, keeping the material sand on the agenda and till June 2nd. In all likelihood, I don't think that's going to happen. I could be wrong, but I really don't think that we're going to have our experts ready to discuss anything by June 2nd. And then now you're getting into budget time. So we could be looking into July, August before this is back on the agenda for a vote, or even later, to be honest with you. I'm going to make a recommendation, and I actually agree with something Mr. Grubb was said up here today and in past days, that we should be, I would like to see this, maybe we can put this on the status progress report, and bring it up every meeting, just an update. Because what happens is things fester, right? If you don't talk about things, and if you don't bring it up and you don't let people talk and you don't let people ask questions or you don't give updates, even if the update is there's no update, things tend to fester with people. And the longer it's not talked about, the more things that they come up with, more ideas they come up with, this is going on, and they come up with their own little theories of what's going on. For that reason alone, we should be updating the people on a regular basis as to what's going on. And also, possibility of opening it up for discussion, letting them ask questions, because I do follow social media very closely. Though sometimes I comment when I shouldn't have, but I try not to comment. And there's a lot of questions about things, and people want those questions answered. They want to just, so we should release that pressure valve, let people come up here and discuss it. Even though it's not going to be on the agenda for a vote for quite some time, we should keep it on the agenda under status progress report, and let people hear what people have to say, and also update people. And like I said, even if it's just, the update is there's no updates, that's just better than just keeping it secret and letting people's imaginations run wild. David?
Madam Chair, I just want to point out that you're in the middle of a public hearing. You cannot have a public hearing on this matter without the applicant being present and having an opportunity to respond to any issue brought up. So as far as this particular matter, if you want to bring it up at a meeting, then you bring it up at a meeting. That's a date certain for June 2nd. If you decide to continue it to that date, you can continue it, but you can't be having the hearing go on without the hearing going on. It's not, you can't be a little bit pregnant. The hearing, that's exactly it. Your bottom line is there's a hearing going on right here, and if you want to discuss the merits of that case, it needs to be discussed with the applicant. It's their application. They're entitled to do it. That's the law. I didn't make the law. I'm just telling you what it is. And so an update, other than an update saying it's continued, if that's what you do, that's the only kind of update you could do. You could not let people ask questions and you field questions.
Okay.
So that's going to be a problem with that approach.
So on this item,
So could we keep it under status and then we just give an update each week as to where we are on the experts or obtaining the experts?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
That's fine. I thought I heard allow people to ask questions and.
Well, that was
now we're
my
getting back to
intent,
public.
because let them blow up, let the steam out of the pot, you know what I mean? But if we can't do that, I understand.
That's one of the reasons why I included that in the last newsletter.
I saw that.
Basically saying, we're still trying to find the experts, and until we get those experts and give them time to get up to speed, then we'll resume the public hearings. So I only did that, John, in direct response to your observation, because there was a lot of stuff going on out there, what's going on behind the scenes. And I want to make sure everyone knows there is nothing going on behind the scenes. We're still trying to find.
And that's what happens, right, when we don't talk about it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Where you are on that, I'm just talking about to get to the merits of the case, you can't do it.
Okay.
Not without, you can do it with the applicant present, you can't do it without the applicant present.
Okay.
So you couldn't start calling people to the podium and have them discuss, you couldn't field questions.
Right, yeah,
Can't do that.
okay. So, Madam Clerk, can you just add that on to the status? Maybe even put status of experts or something, just so we know it's only going to pertain to that one update that we can do?
I think you need to put on there, public comment will not be taken public on this issue.
Okay.
So people don't come here prepared to make presentations.
But they're welcome to speak during open forum, we just can't respond, right?
I guess, but you're not gonna be able to respond to their questions because the applicant's not here to defend the application.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
That was it, thank you.
Anyone else have anything on the minutes of May 5th? So I guess we're just gonna take a vote to approve as is, because there really was no amendment,
Yeah.
right? Okay, anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of May 5th, 2025 as is.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. And then discussion by council vote or other action on payment of bills. You have a packet in your packet. Anyone have any questions? Anyone like to make a motion to approve the payment of bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the payment of the bills for a total of $2,788,496.56 on, for the May 19th, 2025.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Ms. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Chief, did we forget something for you?
No.
Okay. All right, open forum.
I sent the chief an email. I think he came back to respond to the email. Okay. All right.
So we're good to proceed? Okay. Open forum pursuant to 42-46-6D, maximum 3 minutes per person. Did anyone want to speak in open forum? You can go up to the podium. We'll see if we can answer it for you.
Richard Grubb, Fowler Street. I appreciate Mr. Igliosi's response. I don't understand if the quarry has already committed to supply information that they can just sit on all that time. Couldn't they be requested to submit the answers to those questions that they have already accepted?
Maybe I can, so I don't think we're waiting on material. I think we're waiting on us to get the experts, because we had said we were going to get our own experts to answer some questions.
I'm not saying the experts.
Okay.
For instance, they were asked specifically how much tax they contribute to the town. Had nothing to do with experts. And they said, yes, we'll get you that. And they didn't. And there's a half a dozen of those kinds of things. They have nothing to do with the experts. That's what I tried to say earlier. So yes, I get it. We got to wait for the experts. And meanwhile, the status quo goes on and the quarry keeps digging and there's no changes. Okay, we feel we can't control them for some reason. Okay, that's your decision. But I just think an honest person, if they're going to say, we're going to give you this response, and then they turn around and don't bother, and nobody asks, that doesn't seem right to me. Now, I'm not legal, I understand that. But they could be just dragging their feet forever.
I just want to get, I haven't taken any list of questions, and Mr. Gruff may have a good understanding of those questions, but, you know, this kind of was very fluid. It had ramped up and then it got put aside. I don't know, without looking through the transcript of the minutes, that we could identify all those questions. I mean, if that's what the council wants to do. I don't know them, I don't have them, I haven't written them down. but they may exist, as Mr. Gruff has pointed
It
out.
was at a planning board meeting, I believe, that the questions,
Oh.
A lot of questions came at the planning board meeting, but there are, remember, the quarry really directed the narrative throughout all of the promotion. They had their experts testify, and then we ran out of time, and we went to another expert. So I tried to follow along with questions that just pertain to that expert. Yes, it was a planning meeting where Mrs. Roberts asked for taxes, and they said, we'll get right back. Same thing, that next meeting, well, they didn't bother, the meeting after that, they didn't bother, and they were there. And then they got canceled, so now it's just, I think that's relevant to the whole discussion, whether it's here in town council, or whether it's in the plan. Their argument that they meet the comprehensive plan is centered around the contribution that they offer that's come.
I don't want to comment on, no, I don't want the council to comment on what the planning board's function is going on right now, but that's just so we're clear. Again, I'm not trying to, it's a different process, right? Okay.
I understand, but I didn't get to ask that question to you, because all the time is taken up by the others. So, maybe I should suggest.
If you're willing to submit those questions, rather than for us to try to pour through the minutes of the ones that are on your mind, since you have such an interest in it, and we could be happy to deliver them to the applicant and say, you should be prepared with this information and get it to us as soon as we can. As long as, you know, we need to know they gotta be reasonable kind of questions. I'm sure they are, but, does that make sense? That's about the best I can offer. If the gentleman wants certain information, we certainly could try to obtain it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is that all, Mr. Gruff?
may I take a minute in open forum and just say one thing real quick? Chief, I just want to share a story real quick with you. So I have a nephew who's going to CCRI. He wants to be a fireman. So he said he applied in Woonsocket, Smithfield, and Providence. So I said, what's the matter with North Smithfield? Not enough action? He said, not enough money. That's a problem, right? Because you're not, guys are not interested, or girls are not interested because of the money. It's the same thing with the police department. So I just think, granted, I'm probably gonna I'm shooting myself in the foot politically here, but I think that we should really, when it comes to this, the contracts with these guys, that we should really consider that we're not saving money by tightening our belt with the salaries. We're actually losing money because then we got to send people to training and we got to pay overtime and everything. Where if we just had, if we could lure people in with a decent salary, then and keep them in the long run, we would save a lot of money. But that's just my observation.
I'd like to add something to that also. People who serve, fire and policemen, they go, well, look how much they make. Look how much they can lose. It's not just any job. And this was shown to me in Worcester when they had some big mills that burned down because I was on the bridge that had to back off. We saw everyone, and at the same time, young couples losing a husband and a father. So people don't realize you put your life on the line. What you're getting paid should be equivalent. It's like going to a doctor who's a brain surgeon and then going to someone who's a foot doctor. I hate to make that thing, but let's face it. There's danger there. We can't give back a life. But I believe they should be I'm tight, basically. I'm the old Yankee at heart. But when it comes to certain things, you don't cut corners. And if we keep cutting them, we had some great policemen, they left. Firemen, they don't even want to come in to train to begin with. Am I right? How many applicants do you get?
I'm happy if I get 18 or 20. And then
That's right. So, you know,
It's a race because everybody's always hiring, so, hurry up and get
well, when you're working out, think of how fast we have to do it. Because we can't depend on other cities and towns all the time. Not what they're going through now in certain cities and towns. They're so busy. But I back whatever you need, and if we have to go door to door, I'll do it.
Just so I'm clear, though, what input does the town have in his contract negotiations? He's a separate corporation. Those are his employees. He's negotiating that.
How much money we appropriate to the fire department pursuant to the contract defines how much money the
But that
fire
number's-
department has to negotiate with their own
That number's
employees.
coming from them, though.
That's correct.
So,
In the past, though, did you cut down every time you want more as far as salaries? Been around a long time, saw a lot being denied, and I wasn't on the council at that time. So I'm just telling, we have to make people know there are certain jobs, because of the risks involved, have to be compensated, have to be treated with respect.
All set? Okay, executive session, discussion by council vote or other action regarding Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A2, sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, or work sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation or potential litigation. 1, Dudley Development Corp. Versus Jennifer St. George in her capacity as tax assessor for the town of Smithfield, case number PC 2022-5064, and 2, Dudley Development Corporation versus Jennifer St. George in her capacity of tax assessor for the town of North Smithfield, case number PC 2025-1305. Someone like to make a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch who second.
Claire.
Okay, sorry. Mr. Biragad?
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Punchak?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to reconvene in open session, indicate that one vote was taken, and have the minutes of the session sealed.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
All right.
And make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.